we got to talk about which way this team might go at the trade deadline. And the only way you could really talk about that is by talking about what are our biggest concerns for this team heading into June. We've kind of talked around them a little bit, but Scott, I'm going to let you lead off on this. What is one of your big concerns for this team heading into June?
Outfield mix. It has to be like, that's kind of the only area I'm focused on at the moment. I mean, we've seen Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, them have their days where they look like they're kind of locking it back in again. The offense is, trended up the last few days. It looks like they're figuring it out, but it's going to be the outfield mix and how Dave manages that. Do we see Miguel Vargas get some more run? Everybody keep an eye out for that video tomorrow. Just some good chat with Blake Williams. But it's going to be the outfield mix. But you can also, I hope one of you says, the shortstop, second base flip, so we can chat about that too. I hope you do. But again, it's going to be how they manage Andy Pages, how they manage Kike, how they manage Taylor, Jason Hayward, and go from there. Because the conversation absolutely has to be had about acquiring an everyday outfielder. It does. Like, can they do it? Should they do it? I do believe that they should. That's something that, regardless of what goes on, they need to, because they have a few guys they can send down. Miguel Vargas, Andy Pages, they can make that happen. Right now, center field wise, they're until James Outman, if he comes back up, when he comes back up, they've got to roll out Andy Pages in center field. Unless they're going to put Kike there. So it's the outfield mix. Who's going to separate themselves and go from there? Because it's just, we can't continuously talk about the black hole at the bottom. But that's why when Miguel Rojas went in and he's putting up quality at bats, you're like, okay, hey, we're onto something. Some bat to ball. Thank God. I dropped to my knees and target. like it's just, yeah, they have to find. Blake and I talked about it a bunch, and I know you both will agree that there's way too many of the same hitter profiles on this team, that if you are not like high strikeout rate, high slug profile, but high walk rate is exclusive for, I would say, like elite hitters. But when you're not walking, you're not slugging, all you're doing is striking out. So that's where we're looking at is Andy Pages. Gavin Lux doesn't slug. He's got a wet newspaper. Kike doing the same thing. But Teoscar's, he's got that thump. So that's where those other 3-4 guys, that's when you really have a red alert spot where you're, okay, now they're all kind of scuffling. Who's going to fix something? And getting spot at bats doesn't really help that. So outfield mix.
Yeah, I would agree that I would also argue that is my area of need. If they are making a concerted effort into improving this team, it's very clearly the outfield. Even though there's reasonable there's a reasonable conversation when you're talking about the infield as well. When you're talking about Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux. Oh, that's two mentions. Damn it. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to mention Lux, but I'm going to steal Kevin's thing here because he's the stats guy. He loves his numbers, but I pulled numbers up earlier for Dodgers territory. Didn't get to them, but Dodgers 20th in baseball in wins above replacement. Their outfielders, I should say, 27th in weighted runs created plus. Wow. Left field, 90 weighted runs created plus for all left fielders. I think this was just in the month of May. Center field, absolute wasteland. 197 average, 72 weighted runs created plus, fifth worst in baseball. Center field is a problem. It's a massive problem for this team. After Pages decided to, the clock struck midnight on him, whatever it was, things got bad, and then it's a very clear area of need. James Outman's doing okay at AAA right now, but that's where, if I'm Andrew Friedman, I'm making a whole lot of phone calls, trying to find some outfield help, something to supplement center field, and actually maybe be an everyday center fielder for this team. That's at least that's my thoughts there. Kevin, you want anything to add, or are we missing anything?
No,
good?
I wanted to get Richard Flores' super chat into here. He said the Mets putting the S back into shit show. Couldn't agree more. The Mets reeling their head, and for the benefit of the Dodgers. As far as trade targets go, I think the most pressing need is the outfield. I do think they need to address shortstop. I think they could potentially get away with just getting Miguel Rojas healthy into October and then just letting him run in October and just let him be the everyday shortstop in the playoffs. I could be fine with that as long as he continues his offensive production. Yeah. But there really isn't a good answer in the organization at all for outfield. And it's not even a good answer. There's not an everyday answer. We can't keep running out like multiple platoons of guys and just like hoping one of them clicks, because in order for one of them to click, like I said before, they need at bats. So I do think this organization, and I wouldn't be upset if they swung big either. You know, go get a Luis Robert Jr. from Chicago. You have the prospects. They need pitching. The Dodgers have a ton of it, and they could at least get a center fielder for, I think he's got another year of control at least. So you could get him for a little bit extended period of time. And without another answer really popping up in the farm system, why not? Why not swing big? Because you have these windows right now. Mookie Betts is only going to be so good for so long. Same with Freddie. You know, Shohei's kind of in the middle of his prime, but he's not going to, you know, do what he's doing every year. So kind of need to get a little younger as well. But I do think the outfield over shortstop. But if they did get a shortstop, wouldn't be upset about it.
Got a $2 super chat, by the way, from Grumpy45 Dino. Thank you very much. Saying, I don't care who's in the lineup, just win. That's very easy. I prefer they do that. And, you know, maybe us three are in the Dodgers lineup. Maybe not that one. I'm not a very good shortstop. But we are talking shortstop now because, guys, Mookie, he looks tired. He's admitted he's tired. I don't like this idea of second base as a day off. Give the man an actual day off. If you want to, give him a day off. I said it earlier on Dodgers territory, all wins matter. All games are not necessarily created equal, but all wins matter. But right now, him playing every day, just about every day for the through the first 2 months is not what I wanted to see out of Mookie Betts. It's not also what I see what I want to see out of Freddie Freeman, but we know what this team does when it comes to Freddie Freeman. But like I said earlier, in where I kind of changed my opinion from month one, maybe Mookie Betts is not that shortstop answer. And this is an opportunity, I think all of us probably do. I know Scott and I would love to gush a little bit about the idea of Miguel Rojas as a shortstop, because you have an elite level defensive shortstop playing at a position where throughout the course of the game's history, not always is flush with offensive talent. And that said, Mickey Rowe is having a pretty decent year with the bat, and maybe that it's because they've kind of given him his days and he's not in there every single day. I'm not arguing for him to be in there every single day, through the rest of this season, of this regular season. But my argument is maybe this is a team that really, really needs to consider Miguel Rojas as their playoff shortstop. He moves there, essentially becomes their starting shortstop by the season's end, and Mookie Betts can be a really, really good second baseman. Or maybe you fix another problem. You move Mookie back to the outfield, which is one of the things Alana Rizzo talked about earlier on Dodgers territory. Miguel Rojas, shortstop. There's the we want it to happen, and then there's the will they actually do it. Scott, where does all this line up in your opinion?
So I really have to just put down I just got to take out back the conversation of putting Mookie Betts back in the outfield. That's just, I just don't think that's on the radar. We're going to leave that right there. The plan was to play him at second base, but to avoid talking about Gavin Lux again, I got a couple of my buddies in here. We're going to talk about, I need somebody to toss the name in, what they used to call him. But to avoid talking about Gavin Lux, I need them to just, look at what Miguel Rojas is doing. And I think it was Kevin was in my mentions talking about how, they, perhaps just like you mentioned as well, Clint, that playing time for Miguel Rojas has been limited. And maybe that's saving his legs. 2 years in a row coming into spring training. He's talked about that. He's been slowed a bit. They've just been allowing him to find his legs, go from there. But he's only had 87 plate appearances this year. But he's posting a 128 WRC plus. He's batting over 300 against right-handed pitching. So he's someone that's in there that the profile that they sorely need at the bottom of that order. With shortstops who have played 100 innings, you want to know who's number one graded shortstop? Talk to me, Clint.
I feel like it's got to be a Mr. Miguel Rojas.
Miguel Rojas.
Oh, I love it. I'm so good at this.
By a mile. Like UZR 150 loves what he's got, and he's done this for a career. So, Kevin, just like you said, looking towards the postseason, if the Dodgers just say, we want to have this guy in there who's doing it. We can't afford these errors. We're going to get Mookie in the lineup, get him at second base, something where he's more comfortable, doesn't have to make these throws. Metrics hate Mookie right now at short. He's been for I felt like I was looking at whatever picture it was like a little man like holding up the world. That's what everybody was doing with outs above average with Mookie when it was 3 outs above average for like 3 weeks. Everybody was like, oh my God, the savior short. It just, that wasn't it. And now we're at a bigger sample size with him, and everybody's saying, okay, it's a lot tougher than it is. And does he look a little bit tired? He might be, but it's shortstop's a tough position. He's going to try his ass off. I believe he's going to be out there every day. He's not going to let it defeat him in that sense, but it's still going to be a tough learning curve. But why do they continue to do this when you have an option on the roster? Or I mean, maybe even they're just going to say, we're going to weather the storm. If the opportunity's at the deadline to make a move, they'll do it. If not, they'll weather the storm till the playoffs and understand that they have a veteran player who can play short at an extremely high level and go from there. Because that might be what they're doing. Because shortstop trades, that's the tough thing. Always at a premium. There's no guarantee they're going to be able or want to outbid anybody else.
Kevin, and Metabolic Holic made a good point. How often can we play Miggy Rowe, and who could ideally fill in when he's off at shortstop? And when Miggy Rowe's off at shortstop, Mookie Betts ideally fills in. And to that point, I would not be shocked when Dave said that they were giving Mookie Betts a day off by putting him at second. That to me was like, this is the start of they're slowly just going to start moving Mookie over a little bit at like sometime in June. Oh, Mookie's there twice a week now.
Yep.
And then in July, maybe it's 3 times. And all of a sudden, you hit October and Miguel Rojas' legs are fresh. Mookie Betts has gotten sufficient playing time at second base to be comfortable there. And all of a sudden, you have a fairly good infield, or at least an infield you can feel comfortable about, where the ground ball gets hit somewhere. You're not just like on pins and needles hoping somebody doesn't overthrow Freddie at first.
Now, if that's the plan, I'm all for that. The regular season at this point, to me, I'm an old man. I've watched this team for the last decade plus be very, very good and get 1 ring for it. I don't give a shit about the regular season anymore. Go out and win 70 games, make the postseason, and put your best lineup, your best defense, your best pitchers in there to win some ball games. So if they want to do this, little Mookie dance and, oh yeah, he's our shortstop, and then it's permanent for now.
I gotta ask real quick. The more that we look at this in the years that go on, and we see the playoff, the letdowns the last few years, do you kind of relegate to that thought process more and more? That I don't give a damn what they're doing in April. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it every day, and I'll break it down, and I'll do it because it's just I love talking ball, and it's great to do it, and I love picking holes, and I love highlighting things that are good and what can they change and all that, but my buddy Brandon has been hammering it in, and he's got to me pretty hard that I don't care. Like Mookie Betts can have an MVP season early on, do all this, do all that, but I need him and Freddie to show up in the postseason. I need them to show that there's a different culture. And the more the years that go on, I understand that these guys know how to dominate in the regular season, that the Dodgers will consistently field a team to dominate the regular season and get themselves there. Are they going to flip that switch in October? And I swear to God, Dave, if I hear the mentality that it's just another ball game, I'm going to lose my mind. Are you on that train too? Like every day, all the time. That's all I think about.
I've gone through enough of this, both just as a fan and professionally, and now quasi-professionally, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, all these wins matter.
Changing it.
Yeah, all these wins matter. We know that, but I'm just tired of caring about games in April and May and June. A little bit of more fun in July because there's a trade deadline. There's story. There's meat on the bone. But get me into October and give me meaningful baseball and give me a team that actually knows what the hell they're doing, because the last couple of years they have not, and they've had some of the more talented teams. You really look at that 22 team, the fact that they were not able to do a damn thing. Embarrassed, just put out your best players. Don't care about, F your feelings, as somebody might say. Not me.
More legacy starts.
Yeah.
No more.
That said, I think we're all going to be pissed or happy if Clayton Kershaw gets a start in the postseason because he's healthy enough. But you know what? Hey, this is the fun of sports fandom. We're idiots and we're happy and we're all smart at the same time.
Yeah,
just like you guys out there.
I gotta touch on this. Somebody said we should have paid Seager. I hate that comment. That makes my blood boil because I love Corey Seager to death. I grew up when Adrian Beltre run away, and I felt it all over again when Siegs left. Corey Seager chose to be a Texas Ranger. Damn it, the Dodgers offered him $325 million over. They gave him. They said, "Here, you want the money? Take it." And he said, "No, I want to go and create my own legacy and be on a team where I'm the guy." So he left. He didn't want to be a Dodger. Love him to death. I will never boo that man. But they tried to pay him. Yeah. He just didn't. He wanted Texas money. All right, tax free. It's just everything's bigger over there, except for the taxes.
Except for the taxes for sure.
That comment makes my blood boil.
All right, get us back on. We can't. Right. The Seager train made me sad.
Well, listen. If we're talking high dollar shortstops and we're talking crazy and we're being insane. I would argue I was somewhat insane earlier on Dodgers territory. And Scott, we were talking about this a little bit before going on, hitting that live switch. But, the question we pose, I'll pose here to trudge forward is which way does this team go at the deadline? I think we're all in agreement that it's more likely than not an outfielder, or at least that's the best play for this team. But if they need a shortstop, there's a real natural trade partner right now in the miserable New York Mets who have no idea what the hell they're doing. They want to be the Dodgers. Stevie Cohen bought that team saying, we want to model our organization like the Dodgers. 5 years later or whatever it is, they are far from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, they can help get on track by maybe taking a real, throwing some of that Steve Cohen money out there, sending away Francisco Lindor, maybe throwing in a Harrison Bader as a center fielder who is not sexy, but he's a hell of a lot better than current edition James Outman, current edition Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, all that kind of stuff. You get those two guys, you throw in about $80 million worth of Steve Cohen money. But the Dodgers do have to trade some talent back. If you're able to get Francisco Lindor, a guy that this team has long enamored, they've long wanted to try to pull him away back from the in his Cleveland days and all that. Kevin, we were talking about it in the Discord chat a couple days ago. What is the long-term plan at shortstop? It's very clearly not Mookie Betts. It's not Gavin Lux. Maybe it is a Francisco Lindor. A very heavily paid down Francisco Lindor, and you send away a Diego not even Cartaya. You send away a Dalton Rushing because he actually has some trade value. You send away a Landon Knack. You make it worth the Mets' while. How stupid am I? How stupid does this sound? Or does it sound at all like maybe something that's not a good idea, but an idea that's trending towards something to you, Scott?
It's an idea.
Yes, that's all I was looking for.
It's one of the ideas of 2024. I mean, I don't know how viable it is if all. I can't do it. I don't think he's worth that money at all. I understand what he can do with the glove, but I'm not paying a guy who just has he's bad. He's 91 WRC plus guy. He's never blown the doors off. His best offensive years are behind him. I don't care. They are behind him.
Yeah.
Let's not act like he's a premier offensive shortstop. He's I'm not paying someone who posts a 120 WRC plus on average, career average 117 WRC plus, $37 million, or whatever he's going to get, $33 million to the tax. I can't justify that. Even if it's paid down, the core would be so old, and it's already old. He's 30, and then you're going to say, yeah, we're going to just, take that contract on. I'd rather look elsewhere and try to find someone else. Maybe it's not a fraction of the cost because you still have to pay because shortstop's a premium position. But I would prefer to look elsewhere like Bo Bichette or Willie Adames in the offseason, go from there. Yeah. I do not want Ha-Seong Kim. I know I see some people that want him. I do not want that. But I think there's options out there where I think it wouldn't be wise to lock in big time money to a shortstop who somebody else signed.
I don't disagree. And I don't agree at the same time. This is just one of those things where you look at the situation, you look at this team, knowing it needs a shortstop, knowing this is a man that's at shortstop, and there aren't a whole lot of great shortstops out there. Yeah. This is a sort of win now. Maybe he has a resurgence getting out of New York, because New York has not been kind to Francisco Lindor. The Mets have not been kind to a lot of players that have signed there over the last 5 years or so. So there's a lot of like banking and if and hope for sure. But, I decided to get the trade deadline rolling with crazy blockbuster ideas.
Yeah, but I can counter. And Kevin, if you have anything to chime in, I want to get some thought of you before I propose this to Clint.
So I got a lot of people in chat saying they want Bo Bichette. I know you said it. I am so out on Bo Bichette.
Why that?
Defensively, he grades out as one of the worst shortstops defensively.
That's
first
fair.
of all. And so you're downgrading defensively, arguably, from Mookie Betts, especially from Miguel Rojas. And then this year, he's not doing it at the plate. He's had good years his first 2 years, but you'd be buying low and you'd be risking a lot to what you're going to get is bad defense, and what you hope to get is an above average bat, but you're hoping at that point. And I think this team has to kind of be a little bit beyond hoping, especially at the shortstop position, because if you're going to do that, just stick Miggy Rowe there and at least get good defense.
I will add,
runs into a couple, fantastic.
So I will add real quick, I too would take Miguel Rojas over being tied to Francisco Lindor, but this might be a team that really wants to show Shohei Ohtani, hey, we're in it to win it, all this kind of stuff. We just spent all this money. We can't go out there with our right fielder as the shortstop or as the second baseman, all of this, it's quasi performative to go and make a move like that. But it is, I saw somebody said, of all the moves, that is one of the moves or one of the ideas of all time right there. So that's good. Comments going off. I appreciate the comments giving me some shit, because that is what I was looking for on that one. Sarah Morris says, I think she thinks I'm crazy, which I'm cool with that. But we started the conversation.
Yeah. And like, it's all things are on the table when you're trying to fill like an incredibly important position. And that's kind of what everybody needs to understand. Everything's out there. But just like they did with Trey, they acquired an MVP caliber guy, but they had him for another year. It was like, are you going to be able to re-sign Seager? Did not happen. And then you went from there, and you kept him for that extra year. So that extra year for just like Bo Bichette he has one more. So that's why I'd be like, okay, see what you get out of him right now towards the end of the year, and then you get one extra year and a walk year, and then you go from there. And I think that's something that's very appealing to me. The cost will certainly be there, but I like what he's done in his career. He hasn't done it right now, but change of scenery for him for sure. But you have to ask yourself, so if the shortstop, let me walk it back. Trey Turner, would you have given him that contract? Clint, real quick.
No,
Clint?
not
Nope.
even slightly.
Kevin? Nope. Xander Bogaerts, would you have given him that contract?
I'm gonna go with a hell no on that one. Actually,
hell no. Hell no. Johnny's in the chat. Hell no, dude. Boston, one of my Boston Red Sox buddies. Hell no to Xander. Sorry, but it's like I wouldn't have done that at all. So now you're at the point where who do you give that money to? Are you, if all things equal, are you giving Francisco Lindor $25 million a year?
I'd give him 25 a year. He was a 30-30 guy last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He plays a great shortstop.
30.
He's also 30.
He's still
You're paying him through 37.
25. The money's got to go somewhere, and there are no
money.
good options. It's not our money, and there are no good options in the farm. So you've got to acquire it somehow. For 25, I don't
think it's happening. Anyways,
I don't think it is either. I don't think it's happening, but at 25, yeah.
And that was my thing too. The only way it works for the Dodgers is Cohen would need to pay down 10 a year. That's the only, by far the only way it works. This is Francisco Lindor is massively overpaid, and I don't know that he was ever worth the money he ended up getting at the time. But
good time. He was a perfect time to be a free agent type stuff.
Yeah.
When contracts like that were still, I don't think we'll see players like Xander Bogaerts or them see those contracts again. Front offices are just not going to be doing that anymore. They'll play hardball. So it's like, do you allocate that money elsewhere? Do you try to find that offensive production, say in an outfielder, first baseman, corner infielder instead of? So it's. I think that if the trade isn't there, in the signing's not there, they don't want to do that. I think you either hold to the offseason. But if the Blue Jays want to get the most value for Bo Bichette, and they're indeed going to do that and just kind of let it go, let that core go, right now would be the time because you'll get the most return for him with a year and a half left. Willy Adames, it just all depends. We've seen the Brewers be able to, Mike, let's go to baseball trade values. Yeah. If the Brewers do this again It's something that I think they could, but they're in a playoff hunt.
Yeah.
They're leading the division. So it's like, that's another thing. So now the Dodgers are competing with other teams that might want to go get Bo Bichette. But that's where I would say, if they want to kick the can for another year and avoid having to get pressed into playing off-season hardball, that's why you make the move now, because there's just no real big-time shortstops right now. They've all been locked up. They really have. So that's the thing. That's the tough thing. Those good players aren't really hitting the market like that.
Yeah, and I see Sarah talking about Trey Sweeney. Okay, probably not going to be a very high-quality major league shortstop. Yeah. He's a guy. He's definitely a guy. He can play. He can stand at the position and do well. But more than likely, or more likely than not, this Dodgers team is going to run with Mookie Betts. They're going to run with Miguel Rojas, and then they're going to try to figure it out in the offseason. And if it is Willy Adames, that would be another one of those guys that this team has longed for. What it feels like the last 5 years, we've talked ad nauseum about a Willy Adames trade, or really the last 3 years. Outfield is the way this team is going to go. They really should go. Kevin, you mentioned Lou Bob a little bit ago. Luis Robert, who has been hurt, is coming back from a hip injury, is a guy who has hurt a lot. Scott, you like the idea of Lou Bob in a Dodger uniform?
Yeah, absolutely. Versatile player, dynamic guy, big time bat, cost controlled for what he's at. I would love it. I don't think it's just where the White Sox are at it. That always feels like they're like, yeah, he's going to be the centerpiece of our franchise moving forward. Every single time they do this, I can't lie though. If this take pisses a lot of people off, and it might you both, but Tommy Pham's the guy that I would have loved.
Yes.
I can't for the JJ Bleday, Mike. I'll get into. Let me look into him. I haven't looked much into him. I know he's just like a center fielder. He's been really solid, like big slugging guy. So I'll check that out. Absolutely, bro. But Tommy Pham is a player that Mookie Betts wanted, JD Martinez wanted. They advocated hardcore for that in the offseason, or in the offseason and at the deadline to go do it. Everywhere he's gone, he's hit. I don't care what him and Jock got into. I could not care less. Those are two grown men over fantasy football. If Jock did some shady stuff, I heard a story that Jock just changed some crazy rules and he got smacked, and it's their business. I don't care. But by all accounts, he's been a good teammate. A lot of players speak highly of him. There's a reason why the Diamondbacks brought him in, and he had big hits and big moments. And guess what we want in the playoffs? We want in big spots. Guys who can go anywhere, they can hit at any time. And he's consistently done it. And he was a signing late in the season, right before the year in spring training. And he's stepped in there and he's just hit. And he's playing center field. He's doing what it takes to be on there. So I want him, guys that make, Mike, same, we're on the same page always, dude. Makes contact. He can hit anywhere, and that's what they need. I don't care. I'm so sick of seeing people just complaining that, bad clubhouse guy. What? Come on.
Kevin, I want your thoughts.
This is 2013 anymore. The clubhouse is fine.
I want your thoughts in a second. And I think this team honestly could pick up Jorge Lopez and make him fit into the clubhouse.
Glove giveaway. Everybody throw him,
Hey, again, it was a very nice glove that guy got. Aaron Vaughn says, give me some Tommy Pham, baby. Also said Dodger fans are going to love Tommy Pham. Sarah Moore saying, I was thinking of Pham. I.E. Doyer saying Jock probably deserved it. And I 1,000% agree. Met Jock a few times, and he is very slappable, dude. Michael,
I've not seen anybody say you deserve it yet, but I like that. Your chat is dialed on this.
Probably deserves it. So Mikey Carrillo saying Pham makes contact and is a postseason guy. I know you guys both read that article. I think it was in The Athletic last year, where the kind of perception of Tommy Pham was pulled apart, and it was no, this is a great clubhouse guy. By the way, did talk a whole bunch of caca about them Mets when he left, them not playing the game the right way, doing all that kind of stuff, and he got a lot of love in that Arizona Diamondbacks clubhouse, a team that did go to the World Series. I will note, I brought up, Francisco Lindor, a little bit of Harrison Bader, but the first name I wrote on my kind of list of potential trades here off to the side was Tommy Pham, because Tommy Pham better than CT3, Tommy Pham better than Kike Hernandez, Tommy Pham better than two other outfielders on the team. Pajes right now, definitely James Outman. Yeah. Kevin, Tommy Pham, yes or no? Can it happen?
It made no sense that they didn't sign him. He signed for almost nothing to
play for
the White Sox.
They wanted Kike. They wanted to bring Kike back.
Yeah, they wanted to bring Kike. I wanted Tommy Pham over Kike the whole time. We already had Chris Taylor to play that utility role. The Dodgers needed an everyday outfielder. I know some people were saying like Tommy Pham was a splits guy, but his splits had actually started evening out over the last couple of years. So he actually hits righties and lefties very well. And that's why they didn't get him in the first place, because he could only hit lefties. And then, I think he had like an 800 OPS last year against righties. I was all in on Tommy Pham before. If they go get him now, I'm still all in on him.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, no, I'm with you. His stuff is even out. He's having a great year this year.
Yeah.
He's in a lineup that's got absolutely zero. It's just
Nothing.
Guys who can go out and hit, no matter where you are. Just that's a mentality that you want.
Great.
And productive players. It's just, the White Sox, what's going on, man? And Lou Bob has just been something that's just been like a meme for me. My buddies like, yeah, maybe we can go pry Lou Bob away.
Why not? Let's do it.
Why not? Let's do it.
Kenny,
Yeah.
great comment here from Kenny. He said, Peeps need to stop the Pham hate. He's a psycho, but he can be our psycho. And I'm
Yes,
about
sir.
Tommy
The Padres
Pham.
loved him. He was all of like the Hosmers of the world and a couple other guys in that clubhouse loved Pham when he was in San Diego.
It's this ridiculous perception. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, we got to have things to complain about. What was it? Scarlet and Blue says you guys just want trades to have something to talk about. Well, yeah, but also trades are fun in general.
But they need him. Like this
is a
isn't
team
like,
that
like
needs
if,
an outfielder.
If this team had 26 All-Stars, we wouldn't be talking about trades, but they don't. There are holes on this roster that
Don't
need
make
to
me
be
pull
filled.
up these WRC pluses and all these numbers from the guys who they're currently struggling to put out there. Like, let's not do this. Let's not act like there's not like trouble with their outfield group, guys. Like, let's not act like everybody's just going to have a magical turnaround. And that's where people just need to, kind of snap themselves away and say like, okay, it's early in the year, but you can kind of see trends for these players, and it doesn't always work out.